kitchen. What we aim to do here is to help you, the student, with some quintessential history skills. Now, a lot of these skills are actually transferable across all disciplines, not just the humanities, but perhaps to English, science, and visual arts. But it is important to remember that you must always check with your teachers, because the bottom line is they're the ones going to be marking you, not me. However, if you are actually my student, listen to everything I say, because this is what I'm going to be looking for. Now, for today, we are going to be looking at probably the most important skill in the history classroom, and that is the analytical response. Now, this can take the form of many different writing types. The most common one, of course, is the argumentative or the analytical essay, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. But it can also take the form of an extended response or even short answer questions. So a lot of these things are going to be applicable for all of those types of responses, because the key things is. Now, you're probably wondering where this whole kitchen thing comes in. Well, history skills are a little bit boring, let's be honest. A bit dry to get through, and let's face it, I know you've got better things to do than watch a video just about that. So what I thought I would do is I'd pair it with some of our favourite things, food. And for today, the analytical response is going to be the chocolate cake. If we have a look over here, we have a bunch of ingredients in which we are going to use to make our chocolate cake analytical response. Now you're probably wondering, what has an essay and a chocolate cake got in common? Well, I'm glad you asked, because you'd be surprised how much the two things have in common. So what we're going to be going through today are the ingredients and method of creating an analytical response, much like there is for a recipe for a chocolate cake. So let's talk about the very first step. Step 1, planning and preparation. Forget the writing nonsense. This is the stage where most of the hard work and time should go. Any professional writer will tell you, whether they're writing a newspaper article or they're writing a short story, will tell you that the planning stage is probably the most important, and the same applies for an analytical response. So if we're talking about a cake, with preparation involves reading the recipe, and today we're taking the super easy chocolate cake recipe from the 130 plus favorites, our best ever recipes from Food Ideas. So if I'm to prepare for this, the first thing I'm going to do is read the recipe. Sounds pretty standard, doesn't it? But you'd be surprised how many people actually just glance over this step. If I'm going to write an essay, or if I'm going to do an extended response, the very first step that you should do is read the question. And I don't mean just glance over it, I mean read it properly. Have a look at the different types of words that are in there. It'll often give you some clues as to what it is you exactly need to include. Now, the first thing you should be looking for are command terms. There'll be a whole other video dedicated to command terms, but whether it says to what extent, evaluate, analyze, describe, explain, identify, define, all of these things will give you a bit of a clue, not just what sort of response you are expected to give, but also how long it's meant to be and what you need to include in it. So that's the very first thing. Much like this recipe, it's telling me it's a super easy chocolate cake. It's not a lemon cake, it's not a carrot cake, it's a chocolate cake. So the recipe itself tells me what it is I need to include. The other thing that the recipe and also your task instructions will tell you is things like your word limit, how long it's supposed to be. And a cake, how long it's going to take me? How long of my day do I need to set aside to make this delicious treat for myself? So in the case of this, I know that I need to be able to preheat the oven. It's going to cook for approximately 45 minutes with a prep time of 25 minutes. So I need to take that into consideration. For my response, if it's 400 words, 500 words, 1,000, 2,000 words, I need to also take that into consideration and help that inform me as to how much of everything I am going to need. Now, the other thing that you'll need to have a look at is your ingredients. We come over here, I have my ingredients laid out. I have planned properly. You'll see everything I need. Why? Because I looked at the recipe properly. Well, actually, to be fair, I didn't read it properly. I had to go out and get stuff again. But the bottom line is, it is still done today. Everything is here that I need, which means I don't have to be faffing about to get things organized. When I'm doing my essay, that means research, making sure I have all the hard work done before I even start putting pen to paper. And again, there'll be a whole other video just about research technique and sources themselves. Okay? And the last thing is, what are the things that I need to do just before I start? For a chocolate cake, I know that I had to melt this butter and let it cool before I started to use it. I also knew that I had to preheat my oven, otherwise it would take significantly longer to cook and it might even be an uneven cook. For an essay, this means doing a dot point plan. This is probably the most important thing because this is where you actually lay out exactly what is going to go where and what your key arguments and points are going to be. An absolutely essential step. You can't be putting pen to paper until that is done. Again, a whole other video is going to be dedicated to that. So step 2, that's putting all the ingredients together, i.e. actually starting to write. Now, for our chocolate cake, that means following the recipe to put the things together in the order in which it suggests. So that means putting the dry ingredients into one bowl, the wet ingredients into another bowl, and then combining them. As the recipe says, it's a super easy chocolate cake. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So we've talked about the cake, but what about your analytical response? So remember, if you've done your planning correctly, you've already done all the hard work. You know exactly what your hypothesis is going to be. That should be outlined in the introduction. You also know what your main points, what each of your body paragraphs are going to include. Now, like any sort of cake recipe, there are key things that are going to be in common no matter what sort of response it is. So in the case of an analytical essay, there are some things that are going to be in common with, say, a persuasive or an expository or even informative. For example, we do know that we're going to have an introduction, body, and a conclusion. Those body paragraphs are going to have some form of structure. Now, I have taught at several different schools and I have looked at several different paragraph structures. I've looked at teal, peel, tiac, tessel, what else? Strafer model. The list goes on. But the one thing that they all have in common is they all ask for certain things. That's not necessarily in the same order, but all these ingredients must be combined into this paragraph. So the first thing you need to start off with in each of your paragraphs, you have to have some form of topic or point in that very first sentence. It should be short, it should be sharp, and it should be concise. It should outline to the reader exactly what it is that paragraph is going to be about. Then you should follow that with a sentence or two explaining what it is you mean. So if the topic sentence is nice and short, the explanation sentences coming afterwards extrapolate on that. They give some sort of idea about what it is that you're going to be talking about and why. Following that, there has to be some element of evidence. Now, for history, we love our sources. We love our primary and we love our secondary sources. For history, we like them equally because they each perform their own separate function. Now, again, there'll be a whole other video about primary and secondary sources and their uses and also their drawbacks. But just keep in mind that when it comes to sources, you need to have a good balance. You also need to make sure that those sources are within your means to access and understand. There's no point going to a supermarket and getting the most expensive thing on the shelf if that's what you can't afford. Same thing, if you're in year 7 or 8, there's no point accessing, actually, give me a second. Right, now I'm back from my bookshelf. So when you're looking at sources, there's no point going for something like this. Even I haven't read all of this, but I've certainly read bits and pieces of it. But then again, I'm an adult and I've been to university. So I can access this, but for many of you, this might be a little bit difficult to access. Whereas something like this, a concise history, something that's written in a little bit more simple terms, will be much better off for you, simply because it's something that you can access, you can understand, and therefore be able to interpret and analyze correctly. Which leads me to the second last thing that needs to be in every paragraph. There needs to be some sort of evaluation or discussion of the effect or significance of the evidence that you've put there. And that's in relation to the point that you're making, not to the general gist of things, but to how it actually helps prove your point. Remember, the whole point of an analysis is to prove a point using multiple perspectives. And again, that depends on the command term that you have been presented with as to how that happens. But you need to make sure that you're making that connection very explicit and clear. And the last thing that I think some people actually forget to put in there, but it's very important, the very last sentence of each paragraph should be some sort of summary sentence, or what's sometimes called a link. Now that should be summarizing or linking back to your original point, your original hypothesis. How is it that all this information presented in that paragraph helps prove your point or helps contribute to the discussion that you're providing. It's not a link to the next paragraph, and it's not left out into the ether. That summary sentence is important, but again, like the topic sentence, should be short, sharp, and concise. Doesn't beat around the bush. So now this has been mixed up, it's all thick and creamy, just as it says. We now come to our third step, which is the actual baking aspect of it. Now, this is for a cake. This, I guess, is where the chemical magic happens. Now, while you're writing your essay, as you're coming to the completion of it, you put that very final dot point. You are not done yet. Like with cakes, there's still a lot more that needs to be thought about. So, while a cake is in the oven, there are a few things that we're going to need to do. First thing, we need to be thinking about, have I done the right thing? Now, there is a very quick way to find out what that is, and that's this. My very first proofreading of my essay tells me that yes, indeed, I have not used salt instead of sugar. It's definitely a chocolate cake instead of a lemon cake. I have done the right thing. I've done those big things. So far, there's nothing in there that I really need to change that's big. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes. Now, if you're writing a response, obviously it depends if you're writing an exam or not. Your wait time needs to change a little bit. However, the wait time is very important because it gives your brain a chance to reset. This is going to go in the oven, and we're going to hope for the best.
Two hours later.
So now that I've let this cool completely, I can test that by feeling it. In other words, I have let the essay or the extended response sit for a little while, let my brain reset so that I don't fill in the blanks, as it were. I can now dress it. Now, you may be thinking, okay, editing, it's extra work. Do I really have to? I mean, the cake's done. But the question is, would you serve it like this? If the answer is yes, then you're wrong. It's not finished. We need to put the icing on the cake. And the icing on the cake, in this case, is probably proofreading and editing. Now, like this, there is still a process that should be followed. Now, I personally like the idea of proofreading 3 times. Now, in the process of making this cake, we've already proofread once, right? When we licked the bowl, I could already tell that the major things were there. We could make sure that it is the right text type. It made sense. It answered the question. All those big things. In the case of, yes, this is indeed a chocolate cake. No, I haven't used salt instead of sugar, which, I have done before. I haven't left something out. Everything is there. But there's still 2 more times that I need to read through that particular essay. The next time I need to look through that is looking at word choice, looking at the language that I've used. Have I been specific? Have I used more words than necessary for something? Or do I need to add something to make something a little bit more clear to the audience that is reading it? The other thing you can look at is your vocabulary. When you're writing quickly, often you'll go with something that's relatively simple. And look, when it comes to a simple chocolate cake or an analytical response, keep it simple. The language that you use should be clear. If you're looking towards a thesaurus or looking at synonyms on words to make it sound a little bit more fancy, what you're going to end up doing is something that's a little bit garbled, something that doesn't quite make sense. So keep your language simple and make sure it fits. Now, to make the icing for this, what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the mixer and we're going to cream 250 grams of unsalted butter that has been left out to soften at room temperature. Then we're going to add in 2 cups of icing sugar mixture and 1/4 cup of sifted cocoa powder. And finally, 1/4 cup of nice creamy milk. We're going to make this a nice chocolate butter cream icing. Be right back. So look, I'm no MasterChef pastry chef. So when it comes to finishing the cakes, I'm not about piping, I'm not about making fancy decorations. All I want is for my chocolate cake to have a nice frosting, for it to taste nice and to look like a good chocolate cake. And for that reason, the very last stage of your proofreading should be what I call the nitty-gritty. Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, all those little bits and pieces, the really important little things to make sure that it looks like an academic source. And overall, when you're writing an analytical response, That is your number one aim. You want it to be a secondary source all on its own. You want it to be able to stand up against any academic source, making sure that it's taken seriously and therefore written professionally. Okay? And so, with that in mind, we're going to finish our icing our cake. And you'll see that my icing hasn't quite gone to plan, but you know what? Doesn't matter, it's still going to taste fine. We don't have to make sure that everything is all perfect here, as long as it tastes like an analytical essay. So there we have it, our completed chocolate cake. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. The bottom line is cooking and writing essays takes practice, it takes patience, and it takes time. But with the correct ingredients and method, and hopefully from what I've gone through today, it's going to make this a little bit easier for you. If you can include all those ingredients and that method, that process that we've talked about today, your essay will not just pass, it will do well. And then as you want to increase your grade, if you want to get a little more sophisticated, then take the practice. Use your teachers, send them drafts, ask them for advice. That's the best way to get better. Now, if I want to make this cake better, I already know what I would do differently. For a start, buttercream won't split because I won't overmix it. But that's something that I'll take into next time. So, hopefully today, in this video, I've been able to demystify the analytical response for you. As I said before, make sure you check with your teachers, make sure that this advice is correct for them, as they may have their own preferences, and the bottom line is, they'll be the ones marking you. And don't be afraid to ask. All right, for me here at the History Skills Kitchen, thank you very much. And now it's time to enjoy my cake.